I'm going to talk into burnout. I have a personal journey with it, which I have gone through over the last 3 years, and I wanted to unpack it with you all, how it came about, what I was experiencing at the time, and also the decisions that I had to make in order to get on the other side of it, which is still pretty fresh for me, to be honest. I'm still what I would consider to be very early post burnout, which I believe is going to take a while to really come out of. So the story begins around 3 years ago. I got separated, had a very long, happy marriage, but for whatever reason, we decided to separate. For me, the start of a life-jarring transition. What does divorced life look like? And there was a number of decisions which had to be made around that. One was financial stability and maintaining a career whilst going through this huge emotional unpacking. I had to face quite a lot of things personally around the failure of the marriage and my responsibility around that. So there was a personal journey which was happening around that, where the mirror got created and really had to look at myself and wonder, how did we get here and what are the lessons, and go through the emotional pain. And I went to go see a psychologist and needed to really unpack a lot of personal stuff. Fortunately, and I know a lot of friends that have gone through terrible divorces, and I was very fortunate that I had a very positive communication and relationship with my wife, which made things better and easier to navigate, but still didn't stop the gravity of the decisions that needed to occur. So I think one of the hardest things was like having to move out of the family home and manage relationships, but also manage career. I wasn't in a particular situation where I could just like put everything on hold for 12 months and just manage things. The amount of responsibility, accountability over me was extreme, and the deliverables were so high. For about 18 months, I was getting up at 12 midnight and then rolling through until the morning, and then managing Australia accounts. And then there was no change at an 80+ hour week. It was beyond anything I'd ever experienced before. And I had to maintain that level of intensity whilst managing all these other things in my world. And I think that because there was such a necessity around it, or like a deep need for me to contribute and to maintain the consistency around the finances. So in and amongst that, this maneuvered into multiple location shifts to be able to manage life and to be able to continue to maintain the financial thresholds required. So I made a shift to Bali. So what I want to talk into is that 3-year period, I felt completely cornered. I felt like there was no choice. I have to do this. I had to do these things and to sacrifice personal life and situations in order to deliver consistently. Is that you just show up. You just keep on showing up, and you just keep on saying yes and yes and yes, despite situations being terrible, mental fatigue, body fatigue, unbelievable levels of anxiety and stress, managing the divorce and separation and the missing of my kids and not being in the same state and missing out on their life, big life things, and trying to manage it all and trying to deliver at the same time. And so it always felt like I was at the heat of burnout still, even though the situation had changed somewhat dramatically. I wasn't getting up at 12 midnight anymore. I wasn't working 80+ hour weeks. But what was happening was, I've never worked but less than 60 hours a week, but the feeling was the same. In fact, it was exacerbated. It was magnified to the point where it just felt like I was always in burnout. I see it battered around the internet a lot by men influencers about, am I okay? Are you okay? I try to put a smile on my face and go, yeah, everything's great. But if I truly got asked, are you truly okay? I would have lost it. I would have lost my shit. And that's a real moment, because you just know, or you don't know how far and how long you can keep this going for. And I was waking up at 1 a.m. in sweats, in complete anxiety. And I would have a panic attack at 1:30 in the morning. I've never ever had anxiety in my life, in my world. I've always been completely in control and delivered always. From a performance side of things, it's probably one of the things I'm not ashamed to say about myself, that I'm a deliverer. I deliver stuff. This last 2 or 3 years, I've got to say, I'd be shaking and sweating, lying there looking at the ceiling in a complete anxiety, panic attack, worried about the next morning and what might happen. And how am I going to maintain this any longer? How can I deliver this? How can I get through today? How can I get through it? That happened for 12 months, and that is shocking to acknowledge. I've been coping. I've been using those rituals and those practices to get through. Meditation plus exercise plus amazing friends that supported me through it. So what's changed now? First and foremost, my meditations have shifted immediately back to a place where I haven't felt for a long time. And it's only the beginning again. It's not a coping meditation anymore. It's a deeper, connected, more authentic, more vulnerable kind of meditation, going back to that, going back to home, going back to a place where I know that beauty lives and generosity lives, and compassion, intuition, giving back, all the beautiful things. And I know that I'm heading back there. I'm not waking at 2 a.m. anymore in anxiety. I'm not waking with the shivers. I'm getting full sleep now. Anyone who has had sleep deprivation understands and knows what that feels like. It's a horrible sensation to only get 1 hour a night, 2 hours a night. And to return back to restful sleep is a godsend. So that's something that's come back. Motivation is starting to slowly come back. So I know when I'm full power that I'm like, attack. I'm not there yet. I can feel the lights, and I can feel the lights turning on, and I can feel these small little energy points coming back and enthusiasm starting to come back. So I've got to look after myself. What's clear to me is got to look after myself, got to nurture myself, nourish myself, because I've been through fucking war for 3 years. I've been at war with myself for 3 years. And great, you can get out of the trench. So there's a road to go. There's a pathway to go. Got some exciting things coming up. I've got multiple projects in front of me, which I'm passionate about and I'm excited about. One of which is helping men through different stages of life. And we're always going through different stages of life. There's always a different challenge and a different high and a different low and all the things. But working with men has been an absolute passion of mine for decades now. And so that's something that I'm returning back to, delivering more around that, particularly around mindset, meditation, and performance. And so I'm excited about that opportunity, excited about the decisions that have been made that took courage, took bravery, and I'm going to give myself a pat on the back for that. But when you are in burnout, the tendency to not do the things that serve you is real. It's harder. It feels like it's a harder discipline to do the things which you know are good for you, like meditating, physical exercise, seeking help, counseling, all the good things, eating the good foods, eating the right way, drinking lots of water, doing all the good things, right? It's harder. You have to be more disciplined, 10 times more disciplined to do the harder things. So the tendency and the easy thing to do is to lean into addictions. But just be aware that if you're leaning into those kind of things, like the obvious ones, gambling, smoking, drugs, alcohol, an addiction can be anything. It could be even a marathon, like overrunning. Social media addiction is another one. You're just spending way too much time. If you are completely sidetracking yourself, escaping yourself, and finding yourself down all of these different arenas and escaping life because you can't cope with what's going on, that's a real red flag. I would recommend and encourage you to seek help from a counselor, a psychologist, coach, to be able to get some support around you, to be able to see the bigger picture and to be able to help you to navigate. One of the things that us men, not to stereotype, but us men tend to do is we don't ask for help. We feel like we can do it ourselves, so we don't reach out anywhere near often enough. And we hold because we believe we can, and because we've been taught all our life, you've got to be a man, you've got to be strong, you can't ask for help because asking for help is weak. It's being too vulnerable. So we hold. So let's not do that. Let's do the opposite of that. What will help? What will be able to get us through this quicker? Please reach out if you feel connected to this story in any way. I'd love to hear from you and talk about what you're going through. All right. Thanks for listening.